All right. Good afternoon. It is Friday, September 23rd. I want to make sure, where's my microphone? It's good. Okay. Got a mic, got a video camera. We've got ourselves together today. Today we're exploring the words and music of those three artists. And if you are under the age of probably 40, you might not know who they are. And if you're over the age of 40, then you certainly know who they are. That is early pictures of Peter Yarrow, Noel Paul Stookey, and Mary Travers, otherwise known as Peter, Paul, and Mary. And today we'll be looking at their life, their legacy, and a lot of music. Now, I'm going to apologize up front because they're so prolific, and they started their careers in the late 50s, early 60s. And they spanned easily 60 years of togetherness and music and celebration. But they were heavily influenced by artists that preceded them on the social justice path. So Peter, Paul, and Mary are folk artists, folk singers. Let's see. We want to, in the decades prior to the 1960s, they worked through such avatars as Woody Guthrie, the Weavers, and Pete Seeger. Folk music had been identified with socio-political commentary. But it wasn't until they came along that they made the social justice commentary alive and meaningful. And you will hear that in much of their music. So this is a picture of then and now. Unfortunately, Mary passed away, died of cancer, effects of cancer. She started off with leukemia. She died in 2009. And she struggled with leukemia for a long time. But that's on the left is them in the 60s. And then on the right, shortly before Mary passed away. So our first video that we're going to pay attention to or experience it's a tribute to Peter, Paul, and Mary. There's an intro to the piece, and then two musical selections that they present that were filmed probably in the late 60s. Could be the mid 60s, I could be wrong. No Easy Walk to Freedom. This land is your land. And here we go.
Their career began in the 1960s, a time of change and concern about equal rights, ecology, and peace, themes that were often reflected in their music. For those of you who were around then, their songs have just got to bring back memories.
Thank you. And thank you, Diana, for those lovely words. And for those of you who are not around in the 1960s, now you know where the camp songs came from.
It's true that folk music has a lot of classics, but there still are the new songs.
And it's not hard to sing them because the issues of social justice and human rights always need to be addressed. Brother Martin was walking with me, and every step I heard liberty. Though he's fallen, come a million behind. Glory, hallelujah, gonna make it this time. No easy walk land is your land. From California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made, you and me. And I went walking that ribbon of highway. I saw the people that endless highway. I knew this land was made, you and me. Come on now, your land, this land is mine. From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water, one was saying, this land was made for you and me. This land is my land, from California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is mine. This land is mine. From California to New York, to the New York Island, to the redwood in the waters. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me. One more time. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. Land was made for you and me. Oh, I went walking that ribbon of highway. I saw wheels waving and the dust clouds rolling. I saw the spell. I heard a voice saying, mighty that way. This land was made for you and me. This land is yours.
Tina Turner's next, after these messages.
Okay. So it started off with a short little piece from the 60s and it moved into the 80s. So I apologize for that misstep. Those of you that are following us live right now, drop me a note. Let me know you're here. And also, if you have a care, concern, or comment, please feel free to share it. Or you can write to me at pastor@plymouthlansing.org. So having their music associated with causes and solutions was as natural as breathing for Peter, Paul, and Mary. The music they purvey and the action it generates are equally important to them and lie at the heart of their story. Their individual and collective efforts have always focused on the crucial issues such as gun violence against children, rights of organizing efforts for strawberry pickers in California, homelessness, and world hunger. Mary points out, we've always been involved with issues that deal with the fundamental human rights of all people, whether that means the right to political freedom or the right to breathe air that's clean or the right to drink water that is pure. No other American folk group has lasted as long or amassed a more loyal following than Peter, Paul, and Mary. Indeed, few groups of any genre has logged more years, more miles, more touring, spreading the message, I would say the good news, and engaging the next generations, now 4. During their now legendary career, the trio has won 4 Grammys, produced 13 top 40 hits, in which 6 ascended into top 10, as well as 8 gold, 5 platinum albums. Peter, Paul, and Mary achieved such rarefield level of commercial success without compromise. And while continuing centuries-old tradition of raising people to raise their voice in song for the sake of freedom is simply further evidence of their extraordinary, successful career, as much a mission accomplished as a musical career can. Peter, Paul, and Mary spent their years together communicating personal and political social imperatives by way of their impeccably chosen songs, personally crafted harmonies. We heard those harmonies in their rendition of This Land Is Your Land. Let's see, harmonies. Remarkably, more than 4.5 decades after their formation, they're still singer advocates. Their spirits and sense of purpose are undiminished, and their message, if anything, is more relevant now than ever before, particularly as America and the world approaches what Mary characterized as a critical turning point in time. Through the years, that message has been expressed through traditional ballads such as The Three Ravens, Take Off Your Old Coat, and the work of later-day poets such as Woody Guthrie, Pete Seeger, Bob Dylan, Laura Nyro, Gordon Lightfoot, Tom Paxton, Phil Ochs, and John Denver in their songs penned by the group itself, It's a canon of classics, inedible, important songs like Blowin' in the Wind, If I Had a Hammer, Cruel War, Leaving on a Jet Plane, Where Have All the Flowers Gone, 500 Miles, Lemon Tree, and In the Early Morning Rain, All My Trials, and Puff the Magic Dragon, along with others. And speaking of In the Early Morning Rain, we're going to hear, this was their first #1 hit after they launched their first album, In the Early Morning Rain. 1966, I believe, is when this recording video was recorded.
In the early morning rain, with $1 in my hand and an aching in my heart, and my pockets full of sand, I'm a long way from home, and I miss my loved ones so. In the early morning rain, with no place to go, out on runway number 9, Big 707 said to go, but I'm out here on the grass, where the pavement never grows. Well, the liquor tasted good, and the women all were fast. There she goes, my friend, she's a-rolling down at last. Hear the mighty engine roar, hear the mighty engine roar. See the silver wing on high, see the silver wing on high. She's away and westward bound, for above the clouds she'll fly, where the morning rain don't fall, and the sun always shines. She'll be flying over my home in about 3 hours' time. This old airport's got me down, it's no earthly good to me, 'cause I'm stuck here on the ground, cold and drunk as I might be. You can't jump a jet plane like you can a freight train, so I'd best be on my way in the early morning rain, so I'd best be on my way.
Okay. That tune was written by Gordon Lightfoot, and Gordon, well, he doesn't give much insight into the tune. You can take the words for what they speak to. It seems that let's see, what was I? The tune describes a down on the luck man from home observing a takeoff from a Boeing 707 plane. 1964 is when that. 1966 is when it first showed up on one of Gordon's albums. Now we have a 3-song set from a concert in 1964. Blowin' in the Wind, The Times They Are A-Changing, and Puff the Magic Dragon.
How many roads must a man walk down before they call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? How many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many years can a mountain exist before it is washed to the sea? How many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? How many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? How many years must one man have before he can hear people cry? How many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Come gather round people wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accept it that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, then you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone, for the times they are a-changing. Come writers and critics who prophesize with your pen, and keep your eyes wide, the chance won't come again. And don't speak too soon, for the wheel's still in spin, and there's no telling who that it's the doorway, don't block up the hall. For he that gets hurt will be he who has stole. There's a battle outside and it's raging. It'll soon shake your windows and rattle your walls, for the times they are a-changing. Come mothers and fathers throughout the land, and don't criticize if you don't understand. Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. The old road is rapidly aging. Please get out of the new one if you can't lend a hand, for the times they are a-changing. The line it is drawn, the curse it is cast. The slow one now will later be last, as the present now will later be past. The order is rapidly fading, and the first one now will later be last, for the times they are a-changing.
Thank you. We're very privileged tonight to have the world's foremost expert and authority on the world's most abstruse and obscure topic here with us. And Dr. Fishlove is going to give a lecture entitled Unknown Animals, Extinct or What? Dr. Fishlove.
The dragon. The dragon is a large, monstrous being with a large, monstrous body and thousands of tiny little scales. At one end of the large, monstrous body is a large, monstrous spiked tail. At the other end of the large, monstrous body is a large spiked tail. At the other end of the large... yes, quite. The dragon. The dragon is a large, monstrous being with a large, monstrous spike. Yeah. The spike. No, that's not it at all. Well, actually, this isn't supposed to be a speech about a dragon. This is supposed to be a song about a dragon.
Puff, the magic dragon, lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Little Jackie Paper loved that rascal Puff and brought him strings and sealing wax and other fancy stuff. Oh, Puff, the magic dragon, lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Sing it with us. Puff, the magic dragon, lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Together they would travel on a boat with billowed sail, and Jackie kept a lookout perched on Puff's gigantic tail. Noble kings and princes would bow whene'er they came. Pirate ships would lower their flags when Puff roared out his name. Oh, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. A dragon lives forever, but not so little boys. Painted wings and giant's rings make way for other toys. One gray night it happened, Jackie Paper came no more, and Puff, that mighty dragon, he ceased his fearless roar. His head was bent in sorrow, green scales fell like rain. Puff no longer went to play along that cherry lane. Without his lifelong friend, Puff could not be brave. So Puff, that mighty dragon, sadly slipped into his cave. Oh, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu.
All right, it looks like we got Laura Hamby out on one of the Facebook channels. Glad to see her there. Puff the Magic Dragon came out in 1962. It's one of the most endearing children's folk songs. It was originally written, initially penned as a poem, the story of Puff the Magic Dragon. It's a friendly flying serpent who lived by the sea. Recorded and released by Peter, Paul, and Mary. Became an instant hit, although it took 3 releases on 3 separate albums for the public to actually find and come in love with that beautiful piece of music. 1959, 19-year-old Leonard Lipton, studying at Cornell University in New York, wrote a poem inspired by a 1936 poem by American poet Ogden Nash, The Tale of Custard the Dragon. Though poetry wasn't his forte, the physics major was convinced he could write a better dragon poem than Nash did and began typing up his new story on his roommate's typewriter. That roommate was Peter Yarrow. Yarrow found the poem and wrote Puff the Magic Dragon based on Lipton's poem. Let's see. That is Noel Paul Stookey. Then and now, I have a little bit to say about Noel. Noel is best known as 1/3 of the trio, folk trio, Peter, Paul, and Mary. Stookey balanced his involvement with the trio with a myriad of activities such as solo singer and songwriter, record producer, political and spiritual activist, and he remained active with such endeavors until the death of his friend Mary Travers in September of 2009. Stookey's earliest inspiration comes from the rock and roll era of the 50s. He played rock guitar, electric guitar, with several teenage rock bands. His witty personality made him popular at the stand-up comic, and he worked as a MC in nightclubs while attending Michigan State University. Now, there's something I had no idea about. I live in Lansing, and Michigan State University is in our neighbor community, East Lansing. Although he temporarily moved to Pennsylvania following his graduation, he continued on to New York in hopes of becoming an entertainer, supporting his family by working during the day at a chemical plant. Stookey continued MC shows in Greenwich Village clubs, and on Sundays he spent hours playing the guitar, singing during informal folk jam sessions, Washington Square Park. Now I want to talk just very shortly about his guitar playing. There were three basic ways that guitarists were playing the guitar back then. One was with a flat pick, and a variation on that would be a thumb pick. And then there was a picking style that was referred to as the I'm going to get this wrong. Anyways, it used 3 fingers and a thumb. So with that method, you could hit 4 of the 6 strings, and you could then not have your thumb work so hard, but the thumb would take on the bass line, and the other 3 fingers would take on melody and treble line. And that was made popular by Noel Paul Stookey here. All right, what we're going to hear now is one of his famous pieces of music. It's called The Wedding Song, and I'm glad I found this video because he explains how this piece of music came to be. So, Noel Paul Stookey and The Wedding Song.
Tell her a note that says, "I don't have a gun, but I know where I can get one." I knew that I had been gifted with a really interesting perspective on life, but I knew where I could go to get a blessing. So I honestly and openly.
Men everyone, gone to young men everyone. Oh, when will they ever learn? Oh, when will they ever learn? All the young men gone. Where have all the young men gone? Long time past, where have they gone? Where have all the young men gone? Long time ago. Where have all the young men gone for soldiers? Gone for soldiers, everyone. Oh, when will they ever learn? Oh, when will they ever learn? Where have all the soldiers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the soldiers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the soldiers gone? Gone to graveyard, everyone. Oh, when will they ever learn? Oh, when will they ever learn? And where have all the graveyards gone? Long time passing. Where have all the graveyards gone? Long time ago. Where have all the graveyards gone? Gone to flowers, everyone. Oh, when will they ever learn? Oh, when will they ever learn? Where have all the flowers gone?